Hello YouTube, you got Video Game House here once again with another wonderful deck we've stumbled upon online. This is the Donk deck. So, knowing full well what the idea of Donk is, and those of you who don't, Donk just means that you can knock your opponent out before they have a chance to even play the game. The entire idea of this deck does exactly that. Now, a few disclaimers before I start the video here with this guy. Donk deck only works in very situational aspects. So first things first, obviously you're going to want to go first. Can you still play the game out even if you don't go first? Yes, but the idea of the deck is to win before your opponent can start playing. So if they obviously get a turn, it does become a lot harder to actually win the game, but it can still play a game out. But in most cases, with the Donk deck, you win before your opponent gets to go. In this format, there's a lot of evolution-based decks out there, so a lot of Pokemon players start with one basic Pokemon to start their game, so that way your opponent can't capitalize on anything else you may put on the bench. So usually, say you're playing against a Charizard deck, they play Charmander in the active, and then they will open the game, and then suddenly they'll find Pecharunt sitting across from them, or Iron Valiant sitting across from them, and then they know they messed up. On PTCG Live, obviously, in a best-of-1 matchup, it's hard to fix that kind of an outcome. So, this will definitely surprise your opponent before they even get to play the game. You want to win that coin flip, you want to go first, and you want to start basically anybody. The deck is just that consistent. Few key features of the deck. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen it before, Squawkabilly has the special ability that if on your first turn it's on the board, you're able to discard your entire hand and draw 6 new cards. And Carmine, again, if it's your first turn, you can still use this card, even though it's a supporter, to discard your hand and draw 5 cards. The deck is so consistent, you 9 times out of 10 will probably get both Squawkabilly and Carmine off on your first turn if you go first to set up the rest of your board. Pecharunt's Toxic Subjugation ability allows it so that way if your opponent's Pokemon is poisoned, instead of taking 1, they take 5 damage counters additional. So there's a total of 6 if they're poisoned. Brute Bonnet and its combination Ancient Booster Energy Capsule allows you to use Brute Bonnet's Toxic Powder to poison both you and your opponent, and it does not matter if you get poisoned because obviously you're trying to win the game on 1. Iron Valiant puts up the extra little bits of damage that you need to basically win out most games, because some Pokemon do start at a higher HP, which you're going to see in this video. Radiant Sneasler adds another 2, and our Perilous Jungle adds another 2. Best case scenario, if your opponent is not a Dark type, because Perilous Jungle only works on non-Dark type Pokemon, Pecharunt will add 5, Sneasler will add 2, Perilous Jungle will also add 2, and Dangerous Jungle will add Burn, which does 2 in between turns as well. So, best case scenario, you're poison burning for 120 damage between turns, and the Iron Valiant can add 20, 40, 60, 80, because you are able to move them around so often with Switch and Switch Cart. Basically a perfect board state. You got Pecharunt in the active, Sneasler on the bench, Brute Bonnet to trigger, Squawkabilly was your turn 1, and then you have 2 Iron Valiants to try and add up that damage in any way you can in order to win this game and win the game on turn 1. Then you just have consistency plays like Trekking Shoes, Gutsy Pickaxe, Tool Box. Trekking allows you to draw 1, look at it, discard, draw another, or keep the first one, and then not draw the second one. Gutsy just allows you... Gutsy in this deck is just draw a card. There is no energy. And then just consistency-based cards, Ultra Ball to get the right Pokemon and stuff on the bench and such. The Ancient Booster and Future Booster. Future Booster is for free switches for the Iron Valiants, and Ancient Booster is just for using Brute Bonnet. But we need to confirm that it actives every time, so we have to try and make sure we get that. This is just the deck list that we used. Obviously, there's ways to optimize it. Heck, there's probably ways to make it so that way it's better than just a Donk deck, but this is the one that we used. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's go show you what it can do. Alright, so, like I said, this is a Donk list. The idea of the deck is to try and win before your opponent gets to play the game at all. But not every game goes that easily. Not every time do you get to go first. Not every time does your opponent give you a Pokemon that you can knock out super easily. So, we're going to go by step, show you guys what we can do here. Obviously, this is a Dark deck. You saw the mulligans, so our Perilous Jungle is not nearly as useful, but that's okay. Pecharunt still in the active with Toxic Subjugation, which can poison our, add 5 damage counters to our opponent's Pokemon poisoned. And Radiant Sneasler on the bench with our opening hand allows us to add 2 more. Perilous Jungle adding another 2 more. And we're already off to the races with the damage. Unfortunately, like I said before, this works better on basic decks. Okie dokie, not being a basic evolution is a bit of a problem. Putting up that 250 damage is not easy. So we're going to try our best to get to where we need to go using our Toxics to try and poison our opponent, which funny enough does actually help Okie dokie. We don't really need to worry about that. If we get punched, we get punched. But it's going to take him a little bit of time to set up, so we're going to try and work on it a little bit better. We are trying to filter through our hand, filter through our deck to try and find all those cards. And we set up an 8 poison and 2 damage from Iron Valiant in one turn, putting up 100 damage before our opponent got to go. Like I said, the example with Charmander is that it had 70 HP, so what would have happened if it was Charmander? They would have never got to play the game, and the game would have ended right there. So we are just showing off the cards here, Perilous Jungle, the Sneasler to add up all that damage to see what we can do. And like I said, if it wasn't a Dark type, it would be 2 more damage. Dark types, unfortunately, don't get that bonus during Pokemon Checkup. Put 2 more damage counters on your opponent for every if it's not a Dark type. So he wasn't able to hit me. He was able to add 3 poison only due to the Radiant Sneasler he had. So I'm trying to figure out where do I put the extra damage counter because it doesn't matter because obviously we add 2/8 damage with Pecharunt here. So we're able to still basically abuse it. And I was like, wait, what do I do? Is that it? That's all I get to do? Okay, cool. So we did that. We got our Dangerous Laser SFA, which just is another option for poisoning. I'm sorry, it's for burning and confusing our opponent, which is really, really strong when you just, want to add to it. And since our opponent had nothing on the bench, no setups, it was an easy win. We actually were able to win the game going 2 turns. Let's see what this opponent had for us. I do quick reminder, I do record these videos, make the video, and then I wait like 2 days before I actually voice over it and do a whole bunch of them in a row, so. Oh, it was the Lost Box player. I remember this guy. So Lost Box is significantly harmed by this list, especially because that Duskull has 60 HP. So, you know how we do 20 damage with our Iron Valiant? Yeah, with a Lost Box deck who puts a bunch of 60 HPs on the board and I have time to kill them, it's pretty nice. So my opponent obviously gets a nice little board set up, doesn't understand what I'm playing because I have Squawkabilly on the board, and then I just show my opponent everything. Oh, look, I got the Poison Tool on the Poison Pokemon, Pecharunt on the board. Oh, look, another tool, who cares? Just gonna use this. Oh, we found a Carmine off the top, which we can play on our first turn. Boom, double switch. Oh, cool. So what happens when you double switch? Oh, yeah, you put up damage counters, and oh, you put another switch guy down. Oh, look at this. And Tachyon Bits, another damage. And we just look for the ancient, we looked for future, but I guess we failed, so it doesn't matter anymore. Throw all that away, look at it again. Oh, look, we got Switch Cart. Switch Cart into the other active Iron Valiant, and we take a free prize. Easy. And not that that really does anything, so Gutsy Pickaxe for 1, Trekking Shoes for another 1. We already used one, we don't need it anymore, so let's see if we can find something else nifty. Nope. Whiff on the toolbox again. Poison both me and my opponent. Switch brings up the Pecharunt, so now it's at 8, which is great because we don't have the Radiant Sneasler, so we only need to get to 8, which is just the Stadium and Pecharunt adding 7 more onto Poison, so it hits for 8. I don't remember if I used the Squawkabilly or not. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention if I did it right there or not. If I did, say in the comments. Cool, but otherwise I don't remember what happened. Yeah, so my opponent just did nothing. I believe after he saw that I was able to clear his, just clean his clock like I did, it just kind of ended there, and I just, but that's cool, game over. And we just did the exact same thing we were able to do from last game, this game. Just switch, 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 put up the last 2 damage, take a knockout, and then we get the Ancient Booster, retreat, push up the Pecharunt, and it's poison for 8. None of these other cards realistically matter, and I'm not afraid of Iona or anything, but I'm just gonna dig through a little bit more and remove. So, as you guys saw, it was just that easy. Alright, who do we got here? Oh, I think we won the game. Yes, we get to go first. Alright, we'll go with Squawk and Brute. Obviously, with the amount of switches you have in the deck, Bonnet, so I think this is probably a mirror match. I'm gonna assume that this is a mirror match, because who else is really using Brute Bonnet? Like, actually, though. And it probably was just, can I get the 120? Is it possible to hit that 120? And it definitely is, so my opponent is just waiting on seeing if I can't get there. So he's down to 80. 80 is a good sweet spot, so we're just trying to get everything out there. Here you go. Give him the ancient tool. Poison us both. Switch it out. Push up the Pecharunt. Don't waste any time. We wasted a little bit of time for fan favor, and then we realized, wait, it does 80. Bye. GG. The Donk beating a Donk. When you donk on a Donk, are you the better Donk? Alright, we got another quick game here, I think. We'll see. We're just showing off how easy it is for Donk to win the game. And these games do not, like, obviously these games do not take long, and if you're just playing to ladder grind, like, it's really that easy. Like, if you just get a good matchup, you can win 3 out of 4 matches just by going first. Obviously, though, in most cases, you will have a much worse time. I would never suggest running this, you know, to try and actually go up the ladder ranking. I would never run this because a lot of people have seen or heard of this deck already, so they are playing around it by putting down a second Pokemon as quickly as possible. Even if it's not a optimal Pokemon, it's just to get away from getting donked on. We are just looking through our deck to see if we can't just donk this guy out, which, realistically, I sort of kind of finessed it here. I could have just went Pecharunt there, switched in, and won the game anyway, but I was, like, trying to do the thing with the Iron Valiants, and then I was like, meh. Poison KO, moving on. Another game. This guy's called ABC Salt Lord. Nice. Alright, let's see where this one leads us. My opponent did get to go first here, so this might be a little bit different. Oh, wait, was this the Beedrill? Yeah, this is the Beedrill guy. I remember this one because I was like, Beedrill? In the game? What does that even do? Apparently, Beedrill does 3 energy for every Beedrill V you have on the board. It does an extra 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon on the board, so it's just it's a target swing. And they were using the energy switches for Teal Mask Ogerpon to obviously move the energies off Teal Mask Ogerpon onto Beedrill to set up. We were trying to put up the damage. Obviously, we know that we can do 100 damage between turns because of all the poison setup that we can do with this deck. So we tried to set them to take 2 poison turns to get a KO. You know, if we pass, they get poisoned. If they pass it back, they die. So we're just flipping through cards, obviously. Squawk and Seize to discard, draw 6, but it's just draw 6. Nest Ball finding us one of our missing pieces. We're still missing 1 piece. We do want that Radiant Sneasler, if we can find it. Putting up that damage counters that we need here to try and get that to 200, or less than 200, so we can use it. Another Carmine, which allows us to discard our entire hand, draw 5, and find the last piece of our little puzzle here. There we go. We have max poisonous damage between turns, which is great. I already have certain things in my hand. I don't really need another Carmine just yet. I realize I think I should have taken it, but that's okay. We're just trying to get up there on turn 1, you know, go as fast as possible. We got the switch. We get to that 100, and the poison damage does not show 100. It just shows 10 poison counters. I think it's supposed to show 100, but it's like off to the side because no one really gets to 100 poison damage per turn, so it's not put in properly. So that's okay though. Did our opponent actually play this out? I don't really remember. Well, I hope that you guys have gotten a pretty solid idea. My opponent either just passed or the timer ran out. I'm not quite sure. Jeez. I believe that, you know, if you guys have any ideas of trying this deck out, I'd say at least give it a shot. It might be fun. It really depends on which matchups you run into. If you end up getting those, like, really good, like, evolution-based decks, and you just donk them out, it's so satisfying to just play out, like, 90% of your deck on turn 1 and then just win the game. But, obviously, it's never gonna win a tournament. It's never gonna become top meta. It's never gonna become that good. It might have a 25% win rate. So, it's funny. You know, use it against your friend who you know is playing, you know, like Charmander or Dreepy, you know, play against those guys and, you know, play it against them without telling them you have it. And it's just funny. But I would never bring it to a tournament. I would never I would never tell other people to use it or tell other people that it's a good deck. It was fun to play, but boy howdy was it not great. Alright, I can see my opponent actually is a Charmander deck or a Dreepy Dragapult deck. We're not sure yet, since we only got to see fire types. We see a wonderful little Entei there, and we're like, oh, that's a neat little Entei. See our opponent's board and go, oh, that's it? Okay, well, we know we can't win here, but we know we can push up a bunch of damage. So let's push up a bunch of damage. You guys may have just saw me almost take that Squawkabilly. I realized I had it on the board after the fact, and I was like, oh, wait, I don't need that. So we get the poison off. Obviously, we switch the Squawkabilly out, so we don't have to deal with that. And we use Squawk and Seize because we can't switch it. Well, we can switch. There's no reason to anymore. We get that free retreat cost, bring in the Tachyon bits to get that poison damage and the Tachyon bits damage. Now we're just looking for Pecharunt. So there he is. We knew we had 2 in there from our first turn search with the Nest Ball. So we're good on that. Pecharunt. Now we can do 8 damage, which puts him at less than half with the poison. So that's all we really need to do. Really wanted to get the stadium to get rid of his basin, but we only run 2 in the list, so unfortunately we were unlucky enough not to find it. But even then, like, you look through what we actually used, there's only 23 cards missing off the top, and if you don't count the 6 from prizes, we only used, like, 17 cards total, and that's saying a lot with this board state, right? Like... Alright, it looks as though this matchup does go on a little bit longer than a Donk, so we did play this out to see where it happens. It does not look good or in our favor at all. My opponent takes the poison, knowing full well my poison will KO him on the next turn. If we got switch cards here, just one, like maybe 1 or 2 switch cards here, we would have been able to use the Iron Valiant to take that out, but that's okay. We got the poison knockout. If we found the stadium would have ended up doing the amount of damage we needed for that knockout, so we didn't have to wait an extra turn, but... Still, it did show that we can take knockouts with the list. Outside of just donking, we're able to actually poison people and take them all out. So it's not impossible to win in the long haul games, but it's definitely not easy. My opponent played a Master Ball with a secret rare Charizard and a secret rare candy. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's spooky. Me just winding up the Dangerous Laser and hoping that it might be enough. Did I take a loss here? I don't remember. Stay tuned and find out. Alright, obviously he does a lot of damage and takes my guy out. And we're going to put in the free retreat Pokemon so that way we can move some things around. We do not have another Pecharunt and we know we need it. So we're going to be using this, confusing and burning our opponent's Charizard because it doesn't look like he has much to do afterwards. We're trying to discard, draw. We find our other Hisuian Heavy Ball because yes, we run 2. Find another Pecharunt. We have everything set up. We double poison. We use the free retreat. We get that poison out there so we can start putting up some damage. 20 for the burn. Burn coin flip fails in my favor. So he stays burned for an extra turn, which is awesome. We need to do a little bit more damage. If we had the stadium, it would be fine, but without the stadium, it's a little worse. He bosses up our non-threat, realistically. Like, yes, Iron Valiant is scary-ish, but not good enough that you should target it at all, because obviously the Pecharunt is where I win the game because of burn damage. So, like, this turn is going to be burn and poison for 5 damage counters, which is going to be half his HP, and then we can put the Pecharunt back up. But because he knocks it out, it's knockout, prizes, switch Pokemon to active, so Pecharunt goes back in to add those 5 extra damage counters, then Pokemon check up, then it's my turn. So my opponent does take all those damage. And he unfortunately does flip heads on the burn, so it does get rid of the burn. So he needs 130 damage in order to no longer be there. We want to set up another Pecharunt. I realized what I probably could have done here was set up, not Pecharunt, rather, I could have went with another Iron Valiant, because if I had the double switches, we could have went Valiant in, switch back out, so that way he would have taken the extra, or he would have taken 40, and then if we found the stadium, we had the knockout. But apparently I didn't risk it in this matchup where I should have, or I could have, and it would have been a little bit better to try and remove this Charizard quickly. I am leaving the Arcanine up like that so you guys can see it, but it's just 30 plus 10 for all damage counters I have on the Pokemon, and honestly his Arcanine was better than his Charizard at this point. He could have just retreated and just used the 2 energy attack on Arcanine, like, that would have been fine. There it goes. Now he has 40 plus, I think, 30, which would have done 70. So maybe not this turn, but, like, he's kind of set for just punch with dog every turn and the game would end. And if I poison him, obviously, and put up damage counters, then obviously he'll be taking more damage, but... So yeah, he takes the prize. Again, I move the Pecharunt forward, which takes him out, so now it's just me versus one more 2-prizer, and we can win, finding both of our heavy balls, and we know full well that neither one of those heavy balls matter. We throw away, we just search through our deck to see what we have left. Find Future Booster, find 2 stadiums. Sad that we didn't find one of them the entire time, because it would have made this game a lot easier. We just from digging, we're just searching and just piling through to see what we find. He is poisoned, so he's taking 10 damage counters per turn now, which is great. Which is half his HP because he's already at 40. But knowing full well I gotta get it to 80, so that way he can take more damage. We retreat out, we hold onto our switch, we hold onto our toolbox, and if this Arcanine stays in the active, we can get that win. We do not run any bosses orders, we don't run any Pokemon catchers or switch carts or whatever, or not switch carts, but counter catchers, because obviously we're trying to donk. There's no reason to run those in this list. But luckily, he didn't retreat out like I expected him to, so he let me just take out his Arcanine, and we took that win. So, like I said, the deck has its ability to win. So one more time, guys, this is our list. This is just the Donk deck. Like I said before, can you win with it? Yes. Can you win with it besides donking? Yes. Do I expect anyone to have a good time either playing it or being played against it? Not really, because the deck is linear. It doesn't have a way out if your opponent has more than like 150 HP on their active basic, outside of like hoping Pecharunt can get a kill. But it's very unlikely. So after that, you kind of just drop concede. If you want to play 50 games in 1 hour, you can. Just start the game. If you don't go first, you look at the board state. If your board state is impossible, just leave the game, go into another one. But personally, my opinion, the deck is not good. It's funny, it's not good. Either way, if you play it, I hope you guys can let me know and tell me what you guys think you can change to make this deck more viable in a more than one turn game. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hasta la pasta.